Our next presenter is Janice Lopez Munoz. She's a colleague of mine here at the USDA, but she works in a different agency, the Food Safety and Inspection Service. And she has been working in the science field for the past 21 years. She holds a bachelor's degree in industrial microbiology from the University of Puerto Rico Mayagüez campus and a master's degree in industrial hygiene from the School of Public Health, University of Puerto Rico Medical Sciences campus. And so, Janice, I'm going to give you control of the keyboard, and you can take it away.
Thank you, Jimmy. Welcome, everybody. Hello. I'm Janice. I'm a public affairs specialist here at the USDA Food Safety and Inspection Service. And our agency mission is to protect public health by ensuring the safety of meat, poultry, and processed egg products. So that's a little bit of what we do here. Um, uh, Very quick, the threat of foodborne illnesses in the U.S. Results in 128,000 hospitalizations, 3,000 deaths, and it cost the U.S. economy $15.6 billion. And some of the most common pathogens that you might see over the news or recalls are from the regulated products that we take care here. It's E. coli, Listeria, Salmonella, Campylobacter. That's just for a setup of what this means for us here. Also, we have some at-risk demographic. Those at higher risk of foodborne illnesses include older adults, diabetes patients, cancer patients, immunocompromised individuals, pregnant women, children under 5 years. What does that mean? It means that certain group of people, like the at-risk group that I just mentioned, are more susceptible to foodborne illnesses. This means that they are more likely to get sick from contaminated food, and if they do get sick, the effects are much more serious. So we wanna be taking care of that as well regarding to food safety. And when we talk about this subject, some of the core messaging that we have for consumers that will help keep eliminate or keep the risk of foodborne illnesses away from you, and also get better at the food waste situation is the 4 steps to food safety. Those are clean, separate, cook, and chill. And what do they mean? When we talk about clean, we want consumers to wash their hands thoroughly with warm soapy water for 20 seconds minimum. Focusing on palms in between fingers and fingertips. This is a really good, easy way to keep germs away and control cross-contamination in the kitchen. Wash produce under running water, even if you plan to peel it. And we do not recommend to wash any meat and poultry before cooking. If we move along to separate, we want people to keep the raw meat, poultry, and seafood away from other foods. Never place cooked food on the same plate that held raw meat and poultry. And food safety starts in the supermarket. So make sure that you use the plastic bags and containers to keep the raw meat separate from other items in your shopping cart, like, for example, food that will not be cooked, like salads or some kind of produce or fruits. So that would be something really good to take into account when we're doing our shopping. And cook. We want consumers to use a food thermometer to kill any possible bacteria that might be on the food. So if you're doing meat or poultry, it's important to take care of that using the food thermometer to reach the safe internal temperatures. Always use the food thermometer, and color is not reliable indicator of doneness. And finally, shield, which is a very good segue to the next information that we will be providing. Is do not leave any perishable or cooked food at the danger zone, which is 40 to 140, for more than 2 hours. Is a guideline that we have. It's very important to consumers to follow. 1 hour if the temperature is above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And if we talk about chilling promptly, we have a very colorful infographic here that tell us a little bit more about how to keep our refrigerator clean and organized with some recommendations that will help to minimize the food spoilage, and that will help reduce food waste, and also since we are food safety, well, it reduces your risk of foodborne illnesses. I know one of my panelists, colleagues here will be talking about a little bit more about specific of refrigeration. But if you see here, we can review very quickly about the leftovers recommendations, 3 to 4 days that will be fine in the refrigerator. Set the temperature in your refrigerator in the fridge to be 40 or below. That's something really important to keep food safe and to promote, minimize the food spoilage risk as well. For the freezer, we recommend to set it up 0 Fahrenheit or below. And important to remember that the frozen food is safe indefinitely, but the quality suffer with lengthy storage. The main compartments, if we have that thermometer adjusted in the refrigerator, it will be good throughout the whole refrigerator, so the compartments inside should hold and keep your food safe and reduce the food spoilage as well. So we have this colorful information here that I found really interesting to share with all of you. Some freezing tips that we can do, what you can freeze. You can freeze almost any food. Some exceptions that we want to make sure everybody knows is canned foods or eggs in shells. However, for example, something very popular coming with the holidays very soon is ham. Once ham is out of the can, you may freeze it, and that's when you can maximize your food as well. For example, we have questions about if is frozen food safe. If it's stored constantly at 0 Fahrenheit, will always be safe. Only the quality, as I mentioned before, with lengthy freezing storage will suffer. But freezing preserves food for extended period because it prevents the growth of microorganisms that will cause both food spoilage and foodborne illnesses. Something interesting as well for freshness and quality regarding this subject that we have here is that the time of freezing effect, the conditions of frozen foods. If it's frozen at peak quality, soft foods emerge tasting better than other foods frozen near the end of their useful life. So freeze items as soon as possible if you know you're not gonna be using that food quickly. So that way you will be having maximizing your food, and then you reduce on food waste as well, and you're preventing to lose things that are still good to eat later. So it's as soon as possible. If you know that you will not use it or consume it, rather than later, put it in the freezer for freshness and quality as well. Other really good chart that I wanted to make sure everybody have access to is the freezer storage chart. It always have information about the products by categories, also the refrigerator information for food safety. However, the freezer information that you see here is for freezer storage for quality only, because frozen foods remain safe indefinitely. So if you have here, for example, leftovers, that is very popular in households, for cooked meat or poultry, it will be good in the refrigerator and safe 3 to 4 days. However, if you put them in the freezer and store them in the freezer, it will be good 2 to 6 months for quality. If you handle it properly and you put it correctly in the freezer using our core steps to food safety, 3 to 4 days will be fine. But then if you want to put it for later use, 2 to 6 months in the freezer, and you still have a safe and wholesome leftover. There's pretty much a lot of information there that I know it will be available later for all of you. Thawing safely is important in order to have a really safe food is to thaw it safely. We do not recommend to place to thaw any perishable foods on the countertops in our kitchens. That's not safe. And then if it happens, then you will end up having food waste because it will not be safe and recommended to consume. Or in hot water, and it must be not left at room temperature for more than 2 hours. So if those conditions following the safe ways of thaw food follow, that's something that we have to take into account in order to prevent risk of foodborne illnesses and food waste as well. Three safe ways to thaw food: refrigerator, it's little by little. Good preparation takes that almost everything one day through the other. It will be thawed, but bigger birds, like for example a turkey that is coming on the holiday season, it will take more preparation and time to thaw safely in the refrigerator. A good thing is that if you thaw in the refrigerator, you can refreeze your food without cooking. Okay, it may be some loss of quality, but not for safety. However, if you decide that you're going to thaw your food in cold water or the microwave before refreezing, then you have to cook before. Those are the three different ways, safe ways to thaw food. But the difference is that if you thaw food in the refrigerator, then you can refreeze without cooking, but if you do cold water or microwave, then you have to cook before refreezing. So I thought it would be good to share to all of you so you can take into consideration when you do want to reduce food waste as well. If we have leftovers, it's very important to reheat to 165 or until steaming hot. And if you are doing the microwave, make sure that half through it, stop, revolve that food in order to have like an even heating of your food. As I mentioned before, storage 3 to 4 days. Freeze the leftovers if you want longer storage for later. And this is a great segue to our USDA Food Keeper app, which is very interesting, and I really like it because it's very easy to use and it does have a lot of information. I'm going to put a little video really quick here. If you can see over there, you see that it's for smartphones. You can browse, search your stored items by category. You can store your food properly with the information timelines that it does provide you at the Food Keeper app. This will keep your food safe. It will save you money. It will help you reduce waste. If you see over there in that chart of in that image that I just showed, I'm going to go a little bit back to see if I can show it to you. I really like this version because here you can add there in that, well, it's not allowing me to stop it. Let's see if I can do it. It's a little bit slow. It does have a calendar. If later when you can go to the section of this video at the 24 to 27 second over here, you'll see that it has the options for you to add to your calendar. So if you have, like for example, there raw kebabs with veggies, and you need to remember to eat that and do not waste it and be safe, you can add that to the calendar immediately in the Food Keeper app automatically, and it will show up and remember you. Some other information that we have here is that the Food Keeper app prevent food waste because it does have tips that you can browse through your categories and see over there. It does have a storage advice on more than 600 food, beverages, and items. It provides you with cooking advice on meat and poultry specifically, and also it does have recall information. And I just mentioned that to you back in the other images that it does sync with your phone calendar. So this information will be popping up to you when you added it through the app. This Food Keeper app is available in Spanish, English, and Portuguese languages. So that's something that it really does help to share with other information that will help you out. Some other resources that we have within the agency is our Ask the hotline. It's 1-888-MP hotline. You can talk to the experts about your questions on food safety, or if you want to minimize food waste as well through food safety. We do have social media everywhere. Food Safety on Twitter, Pinterest, the foodsafety.gov Facebook page, YouTube, where you can access a lot of videos from food safety as well. And I just mentioned the Food Keeper app that will help you out with all this information. So that will be all on my end.
Okay, thank you, Janice, for that great presentation. Chock full of information. If you all need to go back and review what Janice talked about, you can visit Food Safety and Inspection Services website. They have a lot of resources about food safety, freezing, thawing, and our next topic, which is date labels. So one way in which we can reduce food waste in our households is for us to become better educated on what those date labels on food products mean. It's been estimated by ReFed, an organization that studies food waste solutions, that confusion over date labeling accounts for approximately 20% of consumer food waste. And this happened, I talked to my sister the other day, and I think she's a well-informed person, but when I told her that the date label on a milk carton doesn't necessarily reflect safety, but it's a quality indicator, she was surprised and said that, usually when the date passes on her milk, she'll just automatically throw it away without smelling it or seeing if it has even spoiled. So it happens to a lot of people that there's confusion over those food product date labels. So now that I have you, Janice, can I ask you a few questions about date labels?
Sure.
Okay, so does federal law require food product dating?
Except for infant formula, product dating is not required by federal regulation.
Okay, and just to reiterate this one more time, are dates for food safety or are the dates for food quality?
Well, manufacturers provide dating to help consumers and retailers decide when food is of best quality. Except for infant formula, dates are not an indicator of the product safety and are not required by federal law.
And what are some common date label phrases that consumers will see on their food products?
Sure. Some of the ones that are pretty common is best if used by or before. For example, these dates indicates when a product will be of best flavor or quality. It's not a purchase or safety date. Other common one is sell by. This date tells the store how long to display the product for sale for inventory management, but it's not a safety date. Use by is the date that the last date recommended for the use of the product while at peak quality. It's not a safety date except for when it's used on infant formula, like I mentioned, as described previously. And some common ones that it's freeze by. These dates indicate when a product should be frozen to maintain peak quality, and also is not a purchase or a safety date.
Okay, and what date labeling phrase does the USDA recommend?
Here we have information that research shows in FSIS that this phrase conveys the best if used by date phrase, conveys to consumers that the product will be best quality if used by the calendar date shown. So best if used by date is the one that we have here as the research showed.
Okay, and we just got a question about this. So are foods safe to eat after the date that they see on the food product passes?
As I mentioned, everything that is on those dates are not safety dates, are peak quality. It's important for the consumer to always check and verify if that food shows any signs of spoilage. That if it's something that is obvious that is spoiled, then we will not recommend to eat it because people usually do not enjoy eating something that is spoiled. But it's important always to make sure that whatever you're consuming is on optimal quality and also optimal form, that is not